Today's story starts with a family fight over money. A man in the crowd says to Jesus, "Tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." We don't get to hear the whole backstory of it. Maybe the brother was unfair, maybe not. But Jesus doesn't answer the legal question. He shifts the conversation and says, "Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life doesn't consist in the abundance of possessions." And then he tells the story, the parable. A rich man has a good year, and his land produces more than ever. So much more that it's too much for his barns to hold. And so he makes a plan. Tear down the old barns and build bigger ones. Store it all, and then relax. Take life easy. Eat, drink, be merry. But God's voice interrupts the story. "You fool, this very night your life will be taken, and then who gets all this stuff?" Jesus ends the story with a warning. So it is with those who store up treasure for themselves but are not rich toward God. This is a story about wanting things, money, of wanting to control, needing to feel secure, wanting to have enough to not depend on anyone. And I can totally relate to that urge. I need money. I want to be in control, and I want to feel secure. I want to be able to be independent. Don't you? However, how do you feel when I say that this is a story about greed? The rich man in the story didn't steal. As far as we know, he didn't exploit his workers, nor did he commit fraud. He just did what our culture often tells us to do. Work hard, save up, plan ahead, build bigger, take care of yourself, be independent. But the parable says that's not the point of life. We live in a time of hyper-consumerism. We are constantly told to buy more, to upgrade, to compare, to collect, to treat ourselves. It's okay to never feel content. And we know this story because we're living it. And it's not just about stuff. We also collect influence, control, power, titles, followers. And yes, men often hoard power, but greed doesn't care about gender. Women, too, are pressured to chase status, to prove we're strong, smart, successful, to do it all, own it all, and smile. Greed is not just a flaw, it's a system, our system, and it's exhausting. So the question the parable makes me ask is, how much is enough? And that's not an easy question. It lives in the tension between two realities. What's the minimum we need? I've been wondering about the question lately, especially with the unfolding hunger crisis in Gaza. What is the minimum? To be able to live in safety? To have food, shelter, care? To be able to raise kids and grow old? And in all of these stages to thrive, not just survive. Everyone deserves that. Everyone. But then what's the maximum we should take? How much is too much? When does enough turn into hoarding? When does comfort become complicity? Complicity. These are spiritual questions, but also political ones, and economic ones, and ecological ones. Let's talk about our planet. While some build bigger barns, others live in drought. Fires burn, waters rise, species vanish. Climate collapse is fueled by overconsumption, fueled by a system that tells us we need more than we actually do. July 24th was Earth Overshoot Day in 2025. Who of you has ever heard of that day? I see one. So, Earth Overshoot Day. That day marks the date in the year when we used up the ecological resources that the Earth is able to regenerate that year. To give you a more speaking image, to fulfill our demand on Earth, we would need 1.8 Earth in 2025. 1.8. In 1971, we could still make do with one planet. But we only have this one. And the truth is, the people who've done the least harm often suffer the most. And that's not just a crisis, that's injustice. So again, how much is enough? For one person, one family, one nation. Jesus isn't telling us to live in poverty. He is saying, be careful what you chase. Because if you're not careful, the chase will own you. This is where the Christian practice of renunciation comes in. St. Francis of Assisi is a famous person who practiced renunciation, deciding against his family's wealth. Renunciation means saying no, not out of guilt, not out of being holy, but to be free. It's about letting go of what doesn't serve life. Let me say this again. It's about letting go of what doesn't serve life. Letting go of the need to prove ourselves. Letting go of the illusion that more will save us. We don't need to own everything to live fully. We don't need to control everything to be secure. There are so many things we cannot control in our life anyway. We are never in full control. That's an illusion. So what does Jesus mean when he says, be rich toward God? It means investing in things that last and that are life-giving, like trust, like relationships, like justice, compassion, courage. It means spending our energy and our resources on healing, not just our own lives, but the lives of others and the life of the planet. It also means remembering that we're not immortal. We all will die. We don't know when, and none of our stuff is coming with us. But love will remain. Kindness will echo. And what we give away will outlive us and grow. So today I invite you to ask yourself, how much is enough? For me, for my family, for my community, for the earth. And then ask, what can I let go of so someone else might live more fully? Because in the end, being rich toward God isn't about what we own. It's about the bridges you build and how open your hands are and how wide your heart is and about how you love.